my water. Got a big old ball of tissues because today is going to be a hard video to film. I'm like so emotional, I haven't even started. This is gonna be hard. Hey everybody, my name is Adrian and this is my YouTube channel, Lifestyle of Adriii. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be my whole peppy, funny, goofy video. It's going to be much more personal, much more raw, much more real, and much more honest. When I created this YouTube channel, I wanted to make an intro video so that you guys can get a sense of who I am and what I am about. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an insight on my story, and in that intro video, I promised you that I would be open, that I would be vulnerable, and I promised you that I would be candid and honest and truthful. I wasn't gonna sugarcoat anything. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. When I set my YouTube channel, I try to plan out like my videos for the first at least couple months, and this wasn't even on my radar. I was gonna make this video much later. My goal was to hit 1,000 subscribers and then film this video. You know, the more I thought about it, the more I realized how important it is to make early on. This is very hard to put yourself out there like this, to be honest. It's very difficult. Yeah, I just think it's important to be upfront from the beginning. If I get 1,000 subscribers one day, that would be amazing. That would be a blessing. But for now, I want to share my story with my 18 subscribers. Whoever you are, I love you, I appreciate you. Let's just do this. My name is Adrian. I am 28 years old and I have alopecia areata. Ta-da! This is me. I have a autoimmune disease called alopecia areata, which causes me to lose my hair. I've been living with this since about 26. I mean, I had signs way earlier, but it wasn't until I was at least 26 where this really affected my life. And I just want to share my story with you guys. I want to let you know what I've been through, and hopefully I can help and inspire somebody else to be brave. Even though right now I don't feel brave, I feel absolutely freaking terrified. But I am putting myself out here to be brave for somebody else who can see this and hear my story and love and accept themselves just a little bit more, because it took me a really long time to get there. So here's my story. First off, filming with that damn thing was rough. It was freaking hot with the ring light and the wig. It's hot. So when I was 15 years old, I was diagnosed with SLE lupus, which is an autoimmune disease as well, and arthritis. That was a really rough and rocky road for me. I went through a lot as a teenager because of that. A lot. I'm gonna do a video on my lupus story as well, but this is gonna be my alopecia video. So I did suffer some hair loss because of the medication that I was on at that time, but nothing to ever indicate that I had any type of alopecia. There are a couple forms of it. Mine is areata, which means that I lose patches of hair. It's not totalitis or totalis, where you lose all your hair completely. So I do lose most of it, but not all of it. When I was about 22 or 23, my hairstylist had noticed a huge bald spot on my head. Like, at first she was worried I was pulling my hair out, but I literally had no idea. I couldn't see them. There was one at the top of my head and one at the back. My hairstylist is like a family friend. We absolutely adore her and we love her. She is family by heart. She was really concerned and I was concerned. I didn't know what the heck it was. So immediately after that hair appointment, I went to see my specialist for lupus, my rheumatologist. And I was like, hey, I have these patches. What's going on? My boyfriend at that time, when I brought it up to him, he had said like, yeah, I've seen them. I didn't say anything, which part of me was like, why wouldn't you tell me? But also I totally understand why he never wanted to make me feel uncomfortable. That was actually really considerate of him to not bring that up, because it was really embarrassing, especially if you're with someone that you love, you know, to be like going bald or having a bald spot. It was a little embarrassing. I was self-conscious about it, but he was really cool about it. So my rheumatologist said it was probably because of the lupus. I was probably too stressed out and some hair was coming out. She then referred me to a dermatologist who had mentioned we can do steroid injections into my scalp. So they literally take a needle and they inject steroid medication into your scalp in the patches of hair to help that hair grow back. They do it about every centimeter. It's very, very painful. Very painful. But I only had 2 small spots, so I had maybe 5 shots in each spot. It was painful but tolerable. After that, the hair totally started growing back in those spots. They were patches about this size right here. My mom had bought me this like dark brown powder. So if you have alopecia and you have a bald spot somewhere, put a little bit of dark brown powder on it, or if your hair is blonde, I don't know, maybe like a little bit of a neutral shade, just over it so it's not, you don't see the pure white of your scalp, and see if it works. It really helped me out. So after we treated those spots, it took me about maybe a year, but the patches were fully grown in. Like my hair was down to here and the patches were pretty much all the way there. One was on the top of my head, so it grew back really awkwardly. A pain in the butt, basically. But I was getting my hair back, so I had no complaints. After that, I had 0 problems, 0 issues. I didn't really have a bald spot until I was about 26. So when I was 26, I got pregnant and now have the most beautiful, amazing, happy little boy. When I got pregnant, I was in a very abusive relationship. I would bet $1,000 that this person would deny every single thing and claim that I was the crazy one or whatever, because that's what abusive relationships do, and that's what abusive people do. They flip it on you. But it took me a lot of therapy and a lot of self-help books and articles and just a lot of tears to get past that point. However, at that time, it was detrimental to my health. It was the worst thing that could have happened to my health. It was extremely emotionally abusive. It was extremely mentally abusive. And if I am being honest with myself, it was physically abusive. And it took me, like I said, a lot of therapy to come to terms with that and to realize that and to be open and accepting about that. But that's the reality of the situation. It was bad. So with the help of my parents, I was finally able to pull myself out of that situation. I had never been in a situation like that before, so it just did all kinds of damage to my mental state and decision making. But after about a month of leaving this person, I found out that I was pregnant. Me and this person were not together at the time. I didn't have any intention of going back to this person. And we had talked about it. You know, he asked, what do I want to do? I wasn't sure at that time because I didn't ever want to raise a child in a broken household. I always wanted my child to grow up in a household with mom and dad in it. However, because of the lupus, like, we had been trying. We went to go see my rheumatologist. He went with me. We talked about having a child and having to get off my medication and how all of that would work. We went to the clinic to take my birth control out. We went, you know, to the store to buy ovulation tests. Like, we were actually trying and planning. So a part of me felt like, we've been planning this. Like, what is there to be surprised about? We'd been planning it. We knew it was a possibility. I talked to my mom, and, you know, my mom said, you have me here, you have your family here, and whatever you want to do, it's your choice. But if you could not have a baby in the future, would you be okay with this decision? You know, one way she told me you have to think about it is, right now that baby is healthy, you are healthy. It's not easy for you to have a child on lupus. There's a lot of variables that go into even getting pregnant. They have to be planned pregnancies because of the medication that I'm on, and this was a planned pregnancy. We're here for you. We can do it. And that was so reassuring. And whether or not his father and I were together, I knew I had my family. You know, we had tried to work things out here and there, but the physical abuse didn't stop. It was still pretty bad. I was pregnant and I wasn't going to put myself in that situation. So I had, again, removed myself from that situation for good this time. But man, did that wreak havoc on me. That stress from that situation just sent my body into the worst downward spiral. Stress affects both of my autoimmune diseases. the alopecia and the arthritis, and the lupus and arthritis. And it was really bad for a while. And just the amount of stress that caused on my body, like I was not prepared for it, and I did not expect it to be like that. I think one thing that really stressed me out was whether or not he wanted to be involved. I never once said you can't. The door was always open, but he was so wishy-washy. One day he does, one day he doesn't, one day he does, one day he doesn't. He would tell me things like, I hope our baby doesn't grow up like a tonto like you, which means like an idiot like you in Spanish. He would just tell me all kinds of things, you know, claim I cheated. Everything that abusive people do to someone to hurt them is what he was doing at that time. All of it. I was just so stressed out, and he was, you know, playing the whole games, like I'll be at the doctor's appointment and not showing up, or showing up and leaving, or just whatever the heck he was doing. It was just exhausting. That when I was about 3 months pregnant, I just started losing all my hair. And when I say losing my hair, I don't mean like this. I mean losing all of my hair. The entire top of my head had 0 hair on it. I had mentioned it to him and kind of sent him a picture or two when we were semi-cordial at the time. And you know, he apologized. He never said anything bad about my hair loss, but I knew I was not going to let myself get close enough to him again to where he would, or he felt comfortable enough to where he could. As soon as you get comfortable and close enough to them, where they're comfortable and they know you're comfortable, that's when they kind of just let you have it and start chipping away at your freaking soul. So yeah, it was just so traumatic, like so freaking traumatic. I'm gonna be real with you here. It was hard because I was going through so much, and it's not even like I could sit down and have a freaking beer and take the edge off. Like I had to literally deal with it head on, deal with everything coming out of an abusive relationship, being a single parent before I'm even out of my first trimester, and now losing my hair completely. It was a disaster. It was so freaking hard. I was so stressed out that just clumps were coming out. Clumps. And when I say clumps, I mean that my showers would take me 40 minutes to get through because of how much hair I had to pull out. And as soon as I got it all out, more would come out. Like I would have a hairball the size of a baseball afterwards. Sometimes even a softball. I'm not exaggerating. It's really hard to relive those memories because they were freaking awful. Like, seeing that was traumatic. And yeah, hair may be a superficial thing. Oh, it's hair, whatever. But like, hair was my identity. I loved my hair. I curled it, styled it, put it in buns, put it in braids. I did everything. Like, I loved hair, makeup, and all things girly. It's just a part of me. I like it. And like, showering and seeing that, I felt like a monster. So when it first started happening, I was still working, and I was able to like put my hair up in a ponytail and wear like a really cute thick headband to kind of hide it, and nobody could really tell. I did work in a kitchen, so when it started getting really bad, was when my doctor had put me out kind of on disability. I needed to take it easy. The kitchen environment was just really stressful for me at that time. So luckily I was able to kind of just deal with this in private. I would not have been able to go through this while working in a really busy hotel environment. I just wouldn't have. So my hair loss at about 5 months progressively just got so much worse. It's hard to even explain. It's very hard to even be reliving these memories, but I think it's very important to show the side of alopecia that people deal with. At about 6 months was when it was like full blown, just probably the worst time. I had lost about 90% of my hair, I would say, on my head. Maybe 85 to 90% of my hair was just gone. I remember like perfect vivid memory of the moment where like my mom, I showed her the hairballs every time I came out of the shower. I would show her like, look, this is how much I lost here. This is how much I lost there. Maybe you guys will think that this is gross. It probably sounds gross, but I wouldn't want to wash my hair for like 4 days, like 3 or 4 days literally, I would not wash my hair because having to pull it all out was so freaking traumatic. So I would just wash my body and just keep my hair in a ponytail because I couldn't face it. I couldn't see it. I couldn't face it. I couldn't feel it. Nothing. I couldn't handle it. My mom had seen, like, she could see my bald head, like how much I was losing. She could see the big patches, but she never fully understood. So one day I did half of my hair. One of them was about the size of a dime. So like, this much hair was left on this side. And on this side, maybe about a quarter to a $50. It was a good chunk. So I called my mom and I said, Mom, can you come in here? I want you to see this. And she's like, okay, what's going on? So Mom came in. She's like, what's going on? And I remember putting my hair under the water and saying, I want to show you so you understand. So I was washing my hair and just pulling clumps and clumps and clumps and clumps out, and it wouldn't stop. Like, to this day, I can remember the look on her face. Like at that moment was when she understood like how much pain I was actually in. Her seeing it, man, it like broke my heart. You know, it broke my heart, and she was mortified. That look on her face, she was mortified. So she was literally at a loss for words, and she goes, okay, what do you want to do? What can we do? And I had to tell her like that there was nothing I could do. I had to shave it. I couldn't live like that anymore. I couldn't see it. I couldn't sit there for one more fucking shower and pull my hair out. Like, I was not mentally strong enough to handle that. And I'm okay admitting that. So my mom was like, okay, let's do it. So I called my hairdresser, the only person that I trusted to shave my head at that point. And she was like, come in, don't worry, we'll do it. It's not a problem. So I went in the next time my mom went in to get her hair done. So my cousin works for a really good wig company, Jean Renault. Before I shaved it, she took me in the warehouse and we got to pick out some wigs, and I bought some of the wigs, and it was really cool. It was a really cool, you know, experience. So I brought those with me to my hairdresser and we went ahead and shaved it. I talked to my dad before and let him know that I was going to do that, and he told me to film it, and I was like, no, I don't ever want to see this again. He was like, Mija, trust me, I promise you, you should film that, because that's just a once in a lifetime thing you're going to go through, and you're going to want that memory later. And even though I thought he was crazy, my dad is always right. No matter what, he's always right. And I did. I shaved it and I filmed it, and I literally felt like a freaking badass watching that video. I mean, months after. At first, no, I still felt crazy. And I was like, man, what a good memory to have, and to see how brave I was. Of course, I cried the entire time. I bawled and sobbed and was just mortified.
Yeah, that's why I'm waiting. I'm kind of jealous because when it grows out, you're going to have the Halle Berry style. And I'm like, I might have the cojones. I had the How's it feel? Does it feel okay? Sensitive?
Yeah. It's hard.
You got it.
How pretty it'll be once it's back. This is what you want.
Okay, just be strong. Think of that wig. Think of that wig. It's gonna be real.
I know. That's what I'm excited to see.
Yeah.
Screw this. I want that. I want that shit.
I want that wig. So then you don't have to cut it, right? You just go right in.
Nope.
Because of the... I wonder if you get, like your head's gonna get cold and stuff, you know?
It already gets so cold. Like, even with my hat on at like the top of it, it's like freezing all the time.
Really? Look
Yeah.
at it? Yeah. Oh, I see. No, that's good. So then you just cut it down as low as possible, right? And like don't shave it out. Yeah.
I mean, in order to go to skin, you would have to use
Yeah.
a pick.
No, yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
I see it anyways.
crazy how much fell out, huh?
Yeah.
Even from the last picture, like a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's like crazy how much.
No, I mean, thank you for offering to help her and stuff. Seriously, maybe this is not the time, but you have a beautiful face. You really do. Just see how pretty your face. See more of your dimples.
See, I could not do this at home alone. Like, I would have a freaking meltdown.
Yeah. Okay. You have the right person doing that.
This only person I would let do this.
The good thing is, you know, when you take a shower, I mean, hopefully it's not going to be as sensitive
I know.
and, you know, won't hurt and stuff. Sheila responding. You want me to stop or you want me to keep going? You want me to stop or you want me to keep going?
It made my showers so much better. Like, I didn't have to deal with that constant trauma. I just had to learn to live with it and learn to love myself like that. But let me tell you, learning to love yourself all over again is like one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Like, learning how to love yourself when you hate the person that you're looking at every single day is freaking hard, and it sucks. It sucks. And I need to take these damn eyelashes off because obviously I'm going to be crying. Mommy? Side note, I also lost my eyelashes about a year ago. Just my top ones, not my bottom ones. But yeah, man, like learning to love myself all over again was like the hardest thing ever because I felt like a freaking monster. I was fat. I was very, very pregnant. I felt unattractive. I like got out of a relationship. Everything undesirable, ugly. I felt ugly. You know, people may say I shouldn't feel that way. No, I shouldn't have. And I don't now, thank gosh, because I've gotten past that. But at the time I did. And that's just what it was. It's just the brutal, honest truth. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the one thing a lot of people with alopecia get is like, well, it's just hair. You know, at least it's just hair. Like, yeah, it's just hair. Like, honestly, if that happened to you, if you started losing all of your hair, would you really tell yourself it's just hair? No, you would have a hard time with it too. I feel like anybody would have a hard time if they started going completely bald, like out of nowhere. So I had to wait a really long time until I was done breastfeeding and everything before I can go into a dermatologist to see what our options were. Luckily, the hair follicles are still there, they're still alive, and we can try to do steroid injections. The first time I had one or two patches, and it was like 10 shots max. This time, my entire head was almost bald. Like when I say that, I will put a picture up here somewhere. It was entirely bald. I had no hairline. The amount of shots was like 75 to 100 each time for a really long time. I would get them done every 6 weeks, and I will kind of post pictures also to show you my hair journey about getting it back. And that's what we were doing. That's what we have been doing. We've been doing it for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years now. And so far the regrowth is phenomenal. This is the regrowth now, which is like night and day, mind-blowing. I feel like with alopecia, a lot of people will tell you that not to feel these feelings or you shouldn't feel like that. But let me just say, like, your feelings are 100% valid. You can feel mad, you can feel angry, you can feel sad, you can feel ugly, you're allowed to feel depressed, you're allowed to feel embarrassed or self-conscious. You're 100% allowed to feel that way because what you're going through is traumatic. It's hard and it's traumatic. Don't let anybody not validate those feelings for you, or don't ever feel like you have to validate those feelings because you're allowed to have them. This is a really, really difficult thing to go through. You're allowed to feel all those bad feelings, especially if you go through it later in life when you're an adult. One of my alopecia buddies, she's had it since she was 2 years old. She says it was almost easier because she had to grow up with it. For me, like, to just happen out of nowhere when you kind of already have a sense of yourself, it is very difficult, and that's okay to be confused and angry and all of those mixed emotions. The one thing is you cannot stay stuck in those feelings. After I had Hudson, I just dealt with full-blown postpartum and depression and all kinds of crap. I was dealing with it it all because of everything I had just been through in the last 9 months, on top of taking care of a baby all by myself. It was a lot. But I pulled myself out of it, and I can literally say today that I love the person I am. I go out bald. I don't give a crap what anybody thinks or says about me. I am still a little bit self-conscious when it comes to the whole dating scene. I'm not ready to go there yet. You know, it wasn't until I lost my hair where my mom would mention and my aunt, I'm not sounding arrogant or anything like this at all, but how beautiful I was, because I can't hide behind anything. All you see is my face. That's it. All you see is my face. And I think bald women are so beautiful, and they're vulnerable, and they're raw. They're just so gorgeous. And I think anybody going through alopecia, you can always go on my Instagram and send me a DM, share your journey, ask for tips. I'm always here for you. I'm an open book. I just want to help people. I want to share my story and help people going through this. And I want to just be there for everybody. I think it's so important to share your own experiences so someone else doesn't have to suffer, because for a really long time I suffered in silence. And I don't want anybody else to ever have that feeling, because it's a really awful feeling. It is still a journey. It's still a process. One of the coolest things about having my son at that time when I was going through all of that is he looks at me and he has no idea how different I feel like I look, or how different I look without hair. He just sees me. He 100% just sees his mama. And that is the coolest freaking feeling in the world. He doesn't judge me. There are actually a lot of times where we've been in public and I've had my wig and he hates it and he will snatch it off. I will be walking to the car holding him and he will snatch it off of my head. Do you know how mortifying that is? So it's just beautiful. He has no idea the suffering I went through, and it doesn't even matter to him. It's the purest form of unconditional love. That's my alopecia story. That's everything that I went through, the things that I'm still going through. And if you guys ever need to reach out, my email is on my channel as well as my Instagram handle. Don't suffer in silence, because you don't have to. Reach out to someone, even if it's a stranger. I've reached out to strangers with alopecia, and now they're close friends of mine. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and to hear my story. I'm not going to do the whole subscribe spiel. This video was just to be open, honest, and for once, myself. I appreciate you guys coming here. Again, this is Lifestyle of Adriii, and I will see you guys next week.